Hello everybody and welcome back to another new vlog. I'm just walking through a local park near to me and I'm trying to decide whether or not to cross over the main road behind me along here and go to the nature reserve not too far away, or to stay here in the park and actually look for things that I've never photographed in this park before. That could be quite an interesting scenario. Behind me, just before you get to the main road, there's a tree just there, which is quite a tall tree. A big strong tree. It looks like it might have been an oak or some sort of birch or something years ago, but it's obviously lost all its foliage now and it's died, and they're just left with the remnants of the actual tree trunk itself. It might not look like much from here, but as you get closer to it, it's got loads of texture and detail and all kinds of things all over it. I just thought it looked quite cool. I've never photographed it before, but I have walked past it quite a few times and thought, well, I wonder what that would look like in a photograph. So I'm going to capture that now while I'm here, and then I'm going to see what else I can find. So that's that tree captured now. I shot it in portrait orientation because it's quite tall. And it was the best way I could compose the image, and I've bracketed the shots as well, so I've got 3 shots, one slightly lighter, one slightly darker and one somewhere in between, and the idea is then of course that I can combine those in Photoshop afterwards. There is another spot not far from here, just over in that direction really, that I want to photograph. There's a small copse of trees. You can't actually see them from here, but they're further over in this direction, over in that direction there, and they're kind of behind those trees that you can see there behind me, just over my shoulder. And it's only a small copse of trees, and when you get closer up to it, there's some quite interesting compositions there to have a look at, so I'm going to go and have a look at those, and then I'll see what else I can do. The main reason for this vlog was to talk about gear. As you can see just behind me here, I'm using the Canon 1DS Mark III, and it's quite old technology, and I would like to kind of make the switch now over to mirrorless instead of the old DSLR format, because I think it's going to make my life a lot easier, and basically everybody's moving over anyway, and eventually the DSLR systems will be totally obsolete, and so I think it's a good time now to switch over to mirrorless. For any of you interested in settings, by the way, that last shot was shot with a 70 to 300mm lens on the front of the camera at around about 100mm. I was about 100 yards or so from the tree itself, so that was perfect, and I was shooting at an ISO of 100 with an aperture of f4.5. That was probably the best shot I could get using those particular settings, and as I said, I did actually bracket the shots as well because it was the easiest way of capturing the dynamic range within the image and the contrast. So this, just over my shoulder, is that copse of trees that I was talking about, and it does look very different to the last time I was here. The last time I was here, it was quite early in the springtime, and none of the leaves had properly come out on the trees, so it was all kind of very grey and white and quite interesting. But the difference now is that there's a lot more colour on the trees, and I'm not sure if I can actually get a composition here. I'm looking at this edge of the trees. There's just one tree there that goes up, looks like a silver birch. I think they're all silver birches actually, and then towards this end here there are 2 other trees, this one and this one, and I think I'm going to try and make some sort of composition just there using those as a frame for the tree, for the image. So let's set up and see if I can capture this one. With that last shot I couldn't decide what focal length I wanted to use, so I've actually ended up changing my lenses and using 3 different lenses to try and capture an image. One at 40mm, one at 70mm and one at 50mm, and I'll decide which of those is the best once I get back home and have a look at those on the computer. But that's sometimes a decision you have to make when you're out in the field in landscape photography, because you never know what you're going to find and how the composition is going to look when you get to it. I could of course have just moved backwards or forwards. Where I was standing it was fairly easy to do that, but the time that I would have taken to move forwards and reset my tripod and set the camera back properly would only have been the same as the time it's taken me to change the lenses, so it was easier just to do that while I was standing there. One decision I have already made, however, is the choice of mirrorless camera that I want to purchase. It is all about budget and whether it's going to improve my photography in any way, and to be honest, the move from SLR now for me to a mirrorless camera isn't really going to improve my photography at all, because my photography is my skill. So basically I'm not going to improve that just by changing the camera. The camera will still do the same job so long as I tell it to do the same job, so that's not an issue. But the main concern really was budget, and at the moment my budget is only really going to stretch to the cheapest mirrorless camera that I can find. It is of course a full frame camera, so I'm going to go for the Canon EOS RP. I found a spot here where I can go a little bit minimalist. I'm walking along a well-trodden path within this park, and just to the side of it there's an area of kind of gorse land just here, which is quite interesting. But just here at the front of it, right in the foreground, there's an area which is kind of tussocks of grasses, and it's just kind of standing there right in the foreground, and it's really quite interesting and it draws your eye into the image. So I think I'm going to try and set up a minimalist shot of this here and capture this in focus and everything else in front and behind falling out of focus, because that's the most interesting spot there. So I'm going to see what I can do here, and then as I turn around as well, there's another spot a little further along which I can show you. Just at the edge of that gorse land there's a little tree just standing up on its own, just a very tiny one, and I think that's going to make an interesting subject for an image as well. That's just about it for another vlog then, folks. Next week, probably not on the next video, but possibly the one after that, I hope to have an update for you on my entry into the Landscape Photography of the Year competition. You might remember I told you about that on a video a few weeks back. I'll leave a link at the end of this video if you want to watch that again. In the meantime, however, if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on another vlog very soon.